Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ladies. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I saw that. Hi, Krishna. Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. Hi, Krishna. Thank you, Yogeshwari, for that beautiful kirtan. Thank you. My name is Priyadarshini Devidasi, and I want to welcome you all to our session today. Thank you for joining us. Women's Collective South Africa, who and what are we? We are a group of enthusiastic Matajis that have come together and are serious about promoting a culture of open-heartedness. So our purposes are, I'm just going to quickly read you our purposes. The promotion of association of Vaishnavis through various Sangha networks, build a strong Vaishnavi community through networking and growth, facilitate Vaishnavi voices in all aspects of devotional life, inspire Vaishnavis about bhakti and devotional practices, foster sisterhood through seva and sangha, promote Srila Prabhupada's legacy in relation to Vaishnavis, promote opportunities for Vaishnavis to be fully engaged in devotional service, build an enduring network of personal support for Vaishnavis through counseling and friendship. So those are our purposes and why we exist. So our topic today is on confidentiality and authenticity. Okay, it's something that was touched upon in our last session, and we thought that today we will expand on it. One should certainly have at least one friend with whom you can speak to, share to your heart's content, seek advice, and know that it's not going to be broadcast to everybody. So today we are going to get different perspectives from our different speakers. We have a website, and I'm going to ask Shobha Kishori to help me with the website, and we're going to show you exactly what we do have on our website. Shobha Kishori, are you there? Hi, Krishna. Okay, Shobha, can we show our website to everybody?
Please.
Okay, I think we're having some technical hitches there.
Priyadarshini, do you want me to share screen?
Yeah, please.
I just don't know how to. Oh, here we are.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can.
Please.
Okay, so this is our Women's Collective Essay website. Okay.
So Priyadarshini, I'll just move as you explain.
Okay, okay, scroll up. Okay, this is about us, right? It gives you a brief description about who we are and what we're all about. And that's our purposes, which I've just read to you now. Okay, Rasistali. And we've got some, a collage of pictures of Matajis that are engaged in devotional service. Okay.
Priyadarshini, what would you like me to show next?
Our next page, the next page. Okay, we've got a book club which we are very enthusiastic about starting, and here you can see Srila Prabhupada and photographs of his disciples with him. We are hoping to have our book club up and running soon, and we would meet once in the month. We will meet to read a book, and we will have time to discuss what we've been reading. Okay, Rasistali. Okay, we've got a business directory. If you own a business, you can register your business here, and you can see there's a sign up button. Or if you're looking for a business, if you're having a program and you're looking
Hare
for
Krishna.
somebody. Okay, Shobha, you there? Okay. And if you're looking to hire somebody, you can find it
Sorry
in
about that, I
Find a
got cut out.
Business. Okay, it's fine. Shobha, you want to go up?
Okay. So if you click on the sign up, okay. So if you click on the sign up button,
Okay, Shobha, we'll just get Rasistali to show the pages. Okay,
it takes you
Rasistali,
to
Rasistali, can you show the next page?
a page where you can
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
register your business.
I think she's.
And I think it will be reviewed, and you'll see a little magnifying glass. Okay. So if you're looking, okay, with any name.
Priyadarshini, maybe ask Shobha to stop because her connections.
Is really bad,
Or,
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you can just walk us through it, that would be great.
Okay, Shobha. Okay, Rasistali, let's click on to the next one under networking. Service opportunities. Okay, this is something that's coming soon. You can look for service opportunities at any of your temples that's closest to you, and you can join the network. Okay, if you're offering a service to the temple, then you will post it here. That's a coming soon feature. Under community, we've got our, these are the services we are offering. We are offering counseling services, mentorship, and a marriage service, right? If you are looking to get married, then this is where you can come and get some assistance on that. Okay.
I think it's important we just say that these functions are not yet active. We are working.
Active, yes. Yeah, it's something that's going to be, it's in the making, and we will get it up and running as soon as we finalize all the different services that we are offering. Okay, then the next one is recipes, Rasistali. Okay, here you can post a recipe. You can share one of your recipes here. And it's clearly stipulated that no onion, garlic, and mushroom, which is something that we don't eat. So those recipes can be shared here on this page. Okay. You can email, if you want to contact us, you can email us at womenscollectivesa@gmail.com. Or if you want to send us a message, you can, there's a message form, which we will finalize as soon as possible so that you can fill in your details on the form. You can stay informed by joining us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page and we have an Instagram page. Okay. So that was our website. We're sorry about the mishaps there with the communication. Okay, as you saw, we are offering a counseling service, and this came about from our last session that we had, and this is a new development. If you are in a bit of a fix and you want to speak to somebody, we have counselors that are available to you, and they can help you if you need any help, but it's not a fully functional facility because we are still trying to get all our counselors together, okay? If you have any questions whilst the speakers are speaking, you can post them on our chat box. Okay, so our first speaker for this afternoon is Gaurangi Devidasi. Over to you, Gaurangi. Okay, Gaurangi is on mute. Okay.
Hare Krishna and welcome. Okay, today's topic, we are discussing authenticity and confidentiality. So I've made a few points based on Shastra as an opening gambit to give others a framework within which we are starting off. Now, as you know, authenticity, the word itself, and confidentiality have a lot of expanded meanings and are quite laden with history. So how you perceive it will be different. So that is what we are looking for. What does it mean to you? And how do we see it collectively? So when we start with authenticity, it's coming from the ego. So Shastra teaches us that to be an authentic self is to have your ego as opposed to your false ego. And a false ego is based on the perception by others and who you'd like to appear to be. Now, that in itself is quite challenging. As human beings, we want to belong. And in that belonging, it implies relationship. So in particular, we are interested in how do we have relationships within Krishna consciousness, taking into consideration the incredible diversity of persons that are coming into the community. And how do you make a place for yourself? And how do you find acceptance? And how, when you don't feel accepted, you leave, because everybody wants to fit in and belong. The problem is in our relationships, there are two counteractive, they counter against each other, or the balancing parts of it is one. In ISKCON, we have a very deep set of etiquette that we follow. And this is part of civilized relationships. This is part of civilized culture. And what we have, unfortunately, is such diversity in backgrounds that the respectful cultural way in which devotees should relate to each other is either not taught, badly taught, misunderstood, or overtly done. In other words, your etiquette can take the place of real relationships. I'm going to have a little conversation with you right now, and I'll play both parts and tell me if you recognize this conversation. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, how are you? I'm fine. How's your brother doing? Oh, he's fine. Oh, I heard your mother was sick. No, she's okay. And you? Oh no, how's the children? Have you really learned anything at all? And have you had a real encounter with another human being? Does that really build relationships? Because what we understand by relationships is the over politeness, the extreme of etiquette, the overly respectful way in which we approach each other can be counterproductive to reality. And on the other hand, you have uncultured behavior, you have unsophisticated interactions, and that also damages relationships and doesn't allow, it allows for stagnation and rotting, so that nobody's really moving with each other. You're not learning to get along with each other. And the reason we have relationships is also rooted deeply within our scripture. First, you have a relationship with yourself. Then you have a relationship with others. And this teaches you how to have a relationship with God. But we do it the other way around. We first have a relationship with God we don't know, and we really struggle. So we depend heavily on etiquette. And in those relationships, brutality, if you want to have a real relationship, it doesn't mean it has to be ugly. It does not mean you have to be cruel. It doesn't mean you have to damage each other for the sake of being authentic, for being real. I remember when gangster rap was becoming a thing, and all of them excused their awful etiquette as a way of saying, keeping it real. We don't want it to be real in the sense of trying to fit in another way. From scriptural point of view, you have different types of relationships. So our ultimate relationship is to connect with Krishna, and that relationship can have various ways. The registic kind of relationship we have with the Lord is very much in awe and reverence. But if you are in Vatsalya Ras, or you're in conjugal, or you are his friend, you let go of etiquette. But if you do not understand your relationship with the other, what happens is you are misapplying. So if you're not really friendly, you're not friends with a guru, or somebody really senior, or somebody extremely junior. When you're overly friendly with somebody who is not on your level, either too high or too low, the relationship becomes damaging. If you are overly friendly with somebody who's too senior, it is disrespectful. When you are overly friendly and familiar with somebody who is too junior to you, you're not going to have a balanced relationship, because they cannot learn from somebody who they see as totally their equal and has nothing to offer them. So that basis starts with, who am I? Not who is my false ego and how I'd like to fit in and how I want people to see me and how I want to be accepted. Who am I really? You don't need to share that. It's sometimes dangerous to share who you really are. You develop trust. Trust is only built on an experience of faithfulness, of keeping your word. So in our relationships within Krishna consciousness, first we need to understand what it is that I desire and deserve. Who is the other that I want to or am trying to connect with? What type of relationship are we having, should we be having, or needs to be corrected? And from there you decide, how important is this person to me? If you are driven by ego and somebody confides something to me, but it is hell of a juicy, now it's real lovely gossip, your ego takes over and says, nobody else knows this. If I share this, I'll become important for a split second. I'll be more important than everybody else, which means that your ego now, false ego, is driving the process where that other person becomes so unimportant, and your position in the view of everybody else, just the appearance of what you are doing, super important, and the other person is crushed for the sake of your ego feeling a little special, a little better, a little superior to other people. Listen, did you hear? Just for that split second, you're slightly more important. Confidentiality is about, it's important to the person who I have spoken with or has spoken to me, then it's important to me. I do not need to share this. If you want to share it, you need the other person's permission. And that is a type of etiquette that I think has been long forgotten. And a huge part of our relationship problems, the reason we are so guarded, comes from the sense of competition. We need to be better, pretending to be better than we are. People feel so insecure with everybody else around them being perfect. We struggle to connect with others honestly because we're afraid that our honest response to life will be taken out of context and shared with people we don't want to, without giving us the chance to improve. And with that in mind, we are trying to find out what is going wrong within our society that creates such fearfulness amongst women who are in competition with each other, who are not loving towards each other, and find it really difficult to trust. Why is that happening? How do we experience it and how do we overcome it? And therein lies the problem. We all have false ego. Some of us, we're more blind to it than others, but we all have it. At some point, that sense of jealousy, envy, wanting to be or do something to be recognized for something, that all is coming from that place. And so confidentiality is about the other person. And it's about not allowing your ego, your false ego, to take control of your need to belong. You can belong quietly. Even if you're on stage, it doesn't matter. Even if you are leading kirtan, this doesn't matter. So the sense of confidentiality means that I hold you as important. What's important to you becomes important to me in this context. And so with that framing, I'd like to hand over to the other speakers. I find that even when people are given mentors or they are appointed a counselor, there's a huge amount of mistrust because the expectation is that you are already perfect. And then you have to gang up with others to point out who is not perfect and justify why you are doing well and doing better. So thank you. That's just the grounding for where we're going. How did I do with time, Priyadarshini? You know I love talking.
Pretty well. You did pretty well, yeah.
So we'd
Thank
like
you, Gaurang. Okay, thank you, Gaurangi, for that enlightening talk. Our next speaker is Anuradha Devidasi. Anuradha, okay.
Hi, Bo, Priyadarshini.
Hi, Bo.
My dearest sisters, Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So I'm very happy to be with all of you today. I will try to keep it short, okay, Priyadarshini? Just
okay.
But so we're trying to generally talk about developing authentic relationships, right, in ISKCON, because we want to become genuine ambassadors of Srila Prabhupada. We want to develop love of God, and ultimately we want to go back to Godhead. So I'm going to speak a little bit about my understanding of authenticity. You know, the word authenticity has become quite in vogue recently. With these millennials and Generation Z in particular, they seem to have grown up with empty, exaggerated promises, in media and advertising, and they're so used to this over polished superficiality, really, and of course, it's most unimpressive. It's therefore so suspicious. But the concept of authenticity, of trustworthiness, even confidentiality, these are hugely important, hugely precious values. For me, authentic sisterhood, it implies a genuine love or acceptance or acceptance, and it involves an association of women that are obviously linked by a common interest. And as women, we have so much in common. But in this forum, I feel that we come together in sisterhood out of a genuine need for spiritual association, right? That's the distinguishing character of this Sangha. It's what differentiates us from other sisterhoods. Here, we are committed to studying and applying ancient, eternal wisdom to our daily lives with this goal of becoming self-realized, eternally liberated. So our authenticity, it can't be separated from our spiritual identity and our search for self and for purpose. I feel, like Bhagavad Gita, it teaches us that we can perfectly understand this science of self-realization through the instructions of a genuine spiritual master, one who is free from selfish motives and whose mind is firmly fixed on Krishna. And we have found that person. We found that person to be Srila Prabhupada. And we have accepted Srila Prabhupada as our worshipable guru, and we have committed ourselves to serving his mission. And from his teachings, we understand that we are part and parcel of Krishna. And as such, we are in the sisterhood, all interrelated through the Supreme Lord, our common Father. And we've learned from Srila Prabhupada that rather than living in a self-centered way, we should act for the pleasure of Krishna. That's known as Bhakti Yoga. Now, it may sound like, I'm just spewing back, the philosophy, but this is the process that we have gained and grown in. Prabhupada has introduced us to a genuine process of cultivating love of God. And it's against this background, as followers of Srila Prabhupada, that we can and do develop authentic, genuine spiritual relationships and appreciation for each other. But to have this, we have to sincerely apply the teachings to our lives as best as we can. When we come to ISKCON, we are asked to examine what we bring to this process. There's been this analogy that ISKCON has been described as a hospital, and I always give this analogy whenever I hear somebody complain about something. ISKCON is a hospital, and we are all patients in different stages of illness and recovery, and we come with our past conditioning, our habits, our attitudes, our beliefs, our perceptions, our old value systems and our behaviors. And we may be brimming with selfish, self-serving, self-motivated personas. Bhagavad Gita speaks of Kam, Krodh, Lobh, the lust, anger, greed, envy, all these negative attributes that Gaurangi was talking about. Personal ambition, anger, all these negative manifestations that manifest as quarrel and hypocrisy and gossip and lording over and fault finding. So these are our conditioned responses, our dispositions, our characteristics. That's based on the identification with the bodily concept, our false ego, again, like what Gaurangi was talking about, And it's what keeps us rooted to this endless cycle of samsara. But when we come to ISKCON, when we come to Krishna consciousness, we ask to be deeply introspective on acknowledging our anarthas and to work sincerely and honestly on leaving them behind. I mean, it's hard, and we don't get it right a lot of the time. I mean, for me, I don't get it right most of the time. But I acknowledge that these anarthas hold back, they hold back our advancement, and they can be a huge challenge to the preaching mission. So, we are asked to purify our existence through the process of hearing and chanting and absorbing ourselves in Prabhupada's teachings. And our etiquette and behavior, again, I'm referring to what Gaurangi was talking about, we are loftily ambitious a lot of the times, but we need to at least aspire to Prabhupada's standards. And just as important, we ask to build on our strengths and use them in the service of Prabhupada. And in this process, there is no lack or loss, like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. A little advancement can make such a huge difference. There's no inferiority, there's no superiority. We're all servants. We're doing the best we can to make advancement and to take others along with us. And Srila Prabhupada has prepared a pretty thorough manual on how to make spiritual progress in association. He's taught us at length about genuine relationships in Krishna consciousness. I know in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in the first chapter even, he talks about loving exchanges of sharing and serving and reciprocating through prasad, through gifts, gifts of love, and opening up our hearts, like you were saying, Priyadarshini, you were saying that this concept of open-heartedness, about opening up our hearts and minds confidently, in confidentiality with each other. So Prabhupada has spoken of friendship. He's spoken of tolerance and humility, kindness, compassion, empathy, forgiveness. Each of these are powerful, and they can be discussed at length, because like Mahaprabhu says, it's within these states of mind that we can commit to our spiritual progress, that we can make spiritual advancement. But just as important, it is within these states of mind that we can genuinely help each other and grow authentic devotional relationships. This goes so much deeper than the phatic communication of Haribol, how are you, how are the kids that Gaurangi was talking about, giving the example earlier. So my takeaway is let's become introspective, and let's engage with each other in a mood of genuine service, keeping Prabhupada and Krishna in the center of our sisterhood. Let's acknowledge our vulnerabilities. They'll be far from where we want to be spiritually and in relationship to Krishna and in relationship to each other. But let's commit to sincerely applying ourselves to developing qualities that can take us and can take others forward in spiritual life. Let us empower ourselves by absorbing ourselves, obviously, in Prabhupada's teachings. And let us help each other to remember Krishna and never forget him. Let us contribute genuinely to this process and to the Sangha, through words and to actions, to authentically develop trustworthy relationships for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. So yeah, that's my 5 minutes, right, Priyadarshini?
Yes. Thank you, Anuradha, for those wise words. We appreciate. I believe there's a question, Rasastali. Do you want to ask it?
This question is actually for Gaurangi. So
Okay.
Gaurangi, if you can please show yourself. Hi, hi Krishna Gaurangi. This is from Leela Sukha, Leanne from BYS.
Mhm.
She says, hi Krishna. What tools are there that we can use to be more authentic with other Vaishnavis? For example, when we do meet at the temple, what are deeper questions we can ask our sisters that are not just going to scratch on the surface? What are some of the ways we can be more real?
So if there's somebody that you'd like to connect with, become interested in them. Find out more about them. Don't ask vague questions that say yes or no. How was your week, Mataji? what service you're engaged in, the questions that, or things that you are interested in that you'd maybe like to invite them to be interested in. I just find that paying attention to the other person, if you need a script to start, that's great, that's fine. You want to build an interest that is based on your reality, and not to a highfalutin spiritual kind of aspiration that you will fail at and then feel bad and then not want to do. But you try to connect with reality. So first you have to be brave. If somebody says to you, Hare Krishna, how was your week? You tell them, it was really tough. My father lost his job. And we are praying to Krishna that we make this through. That takes courage because it means that you're not superior. So to be able to admit things that you believe will make you look less than is a wonderful, authentic way to be humble. Humility starts with acknowledging what is happening. When everybody's putting forth these ideas about how it should be and presenting perfect pictures, nobody else has permission to be truthful. So if you, my cousin lost his job as well. My mom used to do so well at such and such, and now they have let her go, or she doesn't have as many orders. There's stuff like that, you know, things that we are really struggling with. What is that person going to do with that information that is so harmful to you? Use those trials, tribulations, and other things that we call life, just to make that connection with somebody that you already identify with, that says, I want to get closer to you. Now, this doesn't mean that you start gushing your vomit of everything that went wrong since your birth. You know, you're just sharing, answering a question that was asked. And that's the way. So it starts with a bit of courage, a little bravery, and enormous honesty, but keep it brief. You know, if somebody asks, how are you? Actually, I'm hungry. Like, you know, stop with the tried, recorded conversations where there is an expectation, the etiquette is too strongly enforced. Try to break away from that while still being respectful. That's always a start. But always identify who it is you're speaking to. I hope that answers the question.
I think that was very brilliantly answered. Thank you, Gaurangi, for that brilliant answer. Okay, our next speaker is Kelly Sundari Dasi.
Oh, wait, I'm meant to introduce her.
Oh, okay.
So next is our lovely Kelly Sundari. For those of you that don't know, she actually heads up the Prabhupada Sena in NJP, New Jagannath Puri Temple. And she's the mastermind behind the, I think, our major source of nourishment, which is the Namruchi Festival. That happens normally in December. I don't think we're going to have one this year, Kelly Sundari. I don't know. Maybe you would have good news for us. But she's just such an, she's young, she's accomplished materially, and she's definitely a trailblazer when it comes to what the youth can do in Srila Prabhupada's family. So Kelly, we're so happy to have you, and we can't wait to hear from you.
Hi, Krishna. Thank you. Thank you so much, Asistali Matji. And thank you to the organizers of this event. It's not every day we get to discuss such a unique perspective. When I was asked to speak by Asistali Matji and Mathura Matji, I was a little scared, to be very honest, and I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about. In fact, I wasn't sure up until this morning, but I'm here. I do have something, so I'll just start. We live two lives. Most of us, if not all of us, are working and practicing to be devotees. But in each aspect of our lives, there are common problems. We find it hard to confide in people. We often think that when we confide in people, they have our back and what we say to them is kept to themselves, right? Often that doesn't happen. We end up being betrayed by those we trusted. Personally, I've had this happen to me countless times. I think I need to have more than 10 fingers to count, but I'm hoping that I haven't done this. And to the best of my knowledge, I've never let someone else feel the same pain. When we've been betrayed, And others may find it hard to confide in us because we have consciously or unconsciously done the same thing to them. And because of this, we often think bad of other people. And when we've been betrayed, there's two things that happen. One, we draw away from associating with others because we're not sure who we can trust. If we can trust them with what we say or trust them with just saying, my day wasn't that great. And the other thing that starts to happen is we start to alienate ourselves. That means we hardly go to temple. We pull away from praying to Krishna because we feel that he doesn't really answer our prayers. Because of these two things, we start to feel resentful and have this preconceived idea about everybody and anybody that we meet. And this same shared thinking is shared again. Because what we may experience about someone, we may share it with another person, and they start to think like that. And this ripple effect starts to happen. But if we keep listening to other people, at what point in time are we being authentic? As devotees, we are taught that Vaishnava etiquette is our grounding. And we are taught that Krishna consciousness often flows into our material life. For example, in my final year of undergrad, I was applying for jobs. And it so happened that RCL Foods was offering an internship. My parents said apply, and I just felt uncomfortable. Subconsciously, I was thinking about the karma I would incur. This company is famously known for selling meat products and having products that contain gelatin and other animal ingredients. And here stands authenticity. It takes courage to stand up for what you believe in and to make sure that you don't do something that's against your groundings. According to the dictionary, authentic means to be original and genuine, not a carbon copy. In our own each way, we are all authentic. We have something to offer that no one else can. When you look around this chat, each person has a different view, a different personality, and a different understanding of life. And if we were all the same, how boring would life be? Being authentic means to be vulnerable. You're allowing people to see who you truly are and what a powerful opportunity that is. We are here today because we want an authentic sisterhood. Using the word sisterhood is definitely powerful. Angela Coleman said, to call another woman is to say, I trust you, I have your back, your feelings are valid, and I believe in you. But that's the beauty of being an authentic sisterhood. You are loved because you are you. It's the bond that you share, which is special. It's understanding we come from different backgrounds, we're faced with different challenges, but we have a community that we can lean on and trust in hard times. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Kelly Sundari. You sounded very nervous, and thank you so much for doing it. We really appreciate it. Rukmini says, that was so brave and beautiful, Kelly Sundari. I have a question for you. And my question is, when you had experienced those betrayals, what did you do? What was your course of action?
So my Gurmat taught me one thing. He said to me, whatever happens to you is Krishna's plan. And whatever doesn't happen to you is Krishna's plan still. But when you hear those words, it's often hard to understand what it means. And in those moments where you've just been hurt, the last thing you want to hear is, oh, just get over it, you're going to be fine. That's not what you want to hear. Because the pain that you feel is something that you need to feel. You need to understand that, yes, I've been hurt. And what I'm feeling is not something that can be pushed away. Because if I push it away and the next person that does it to me, I'm just going to brush it off and say, okay, it's normal for me to get hurt and I should accept it. But that's where the problem starts. Because when you keep accepting what's been happening to you and you have that hurt, then are you really staying true to who you are? Because if you're not able to stand up and say, hey, what you're doing is not right, then you're letting yourself start to spiral. And then you lose the touch of being with Krishna. Because ultimately, we all want to go back to Godhead. And Krishna doesn't like his devotees hurt. He likes to see them coming to him and praying to him. So in those moments, it's most important to recognize that you've been hurt. But also at the same time, you have to stand up for yourself and say, that wasn't right what you did. I don't appreciate it. And I don't think I can be friends with you going forward.
So Kelly Sundari, to just reframe what you've said, basically you respectfully approach these people and you speak your heart, and so you find that cutting that sort of relationship is the course of action that has worked for you. Were you able to repair from those relationships since then?
Yes, because if I wasn't able to repair, I wouldn't be who I am today. In each friendship that's been cut, you grow. And they often say that. They say that the friends you have in school are not the friends you have in university. And the university friends that you have are not the friends you go into the work world with. So friends are always changing, and you have to be able to recognize that the sisterhood that you want is exactly what you want. It's not just a superficial and ungrounded a relationship that is there, because at the end of the day, these are the same sisters that hopefully you will spend summers with, you will go away on holidays, you will see each other get married, be at kids' parties. That's being authentic. That's the sisterhood that we want to encourage within this group and in our own personal lives.
Wonderful, Kelly Sundari. There are two more comments for you from Gorangi, who says, gorgeously said. And the iPhone lady, I think that's Mathura Mandal, I'm not sure. She says, a confident young lady. And kudos to you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Priyadarshini, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Rasastali, for that. Our next speaker is Navina Radhika Dasi.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare
These
Krishna.
are humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for having me again on this platform. And Kelly Sundari, what a wonderful introduction to a way I was struggling to find how to start this, this conversation. But my opening line was, I truly believe that everyone has a story, one that is important and needs to be heard. And you've just given testimony to that. You know, sometimes it takes a lot of digging to find that story, but it's always there. And the process of bhakti presents similar challenges to all of us, you know, in this human experience of life. So when we become intentional about getting to know people and getting to know their stories, we find that common ground. All of us have the same struggles, the same hopes, the same fears, and sometimes we even make the same mistakes. But don't we all find connection with another woman in those moments that allow you to say, you know, I've been through that too, or I know exactly how that feels. So this quality of authenticity in sisterhood, I find that it lightens the load and it gives someone a much needed sense of security that, like Gorangi said, I belong in this community. And everybody deserves an invitation to have a sense of belonging in Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON. So I believe that authenticity is our duty of gratitude to Srila Prabhupada for creating a kind of environment where everybody can belong. So I've seen that this authenticity does exist, mostly in action, in service. I see the exchange of authentic sisterhood in conversations between two cooks preparing a Sunday love feast for the devotees together, or in how we look out for each other whilst preparing offering trays and clothes and ornaments for the deities, or even in the private messages that are shared on birthdays, deaths, divorce, or even online in the private chats that happen on Zoom with a sister friend when a speaker says something that brings you to, you know, a day when you feel like communicating. Isn't that exactly what we were talking about just the other day? So the connections are happening and they are real. Or maybe I can share 3 ideas for how we can increase that effort of authenticity to go beyond just my friends or the Vaishnavis that I like or get along with, to the broader community of women who all deserve that sense of belonging with all of us. So the first thing I was thinking was, how can you be authentic without being relatable? So relatability is preaching. It's not in the philosophy that we throw at people sometimes for real life problems where they draw closer to Krishna. It's actually in you showing or describing how to get through that difficulty that brings the philosophy to life for some people. We have a very idealistic society where we ask idealistic questions and we give very idealistic answers, and that's good. But to not go beyond that sometimes makes it difficult for people to relate to us. And I think that's what Prabhupada was trying to do in terms of relatability when he was so expert in speaking in metaphors. You know, he was so practical that he wanted to give us examples that we could actually relate to. So taking from him, we need to speak the highest philosophy and then in relationship, give the practical, relatable demonstration. I'll give you an example, a personal example. So recently, someone I know who is not a devotee has been going through a spiritual coming to or awakening, and they are African. So the African transgression of spirituality takes the direction of ancestry. And so I guess being an African person who's a spiritualist, they thought to ask, oh, who can I ask if I'm going through the spiritual, phase of my life? And they thought of Navina Radhika. So they've been having many discussions about this connection to higher beings, meaning connection to ancestors. So encouraged, I thought, let me find every reference point that she might be able to relate to philosophically. And I found it in Bhagavad Gita. It says that if those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors, but rather worship Krishna and you'll attain the highest perfection of life. I found it in Mahabharata, where King Yudhishthir, he's asking Narada Muni, the universal traveler, he's asking him, please describe the different celestial halls. Why is he asking? Because he wanted to know where his father, King Pandu, had gone after death. So the examples were there, the philosophy was there, and I was sharing it with her, and she appreciated it. But only later in the evening, when we were sharing a meal together, and she asked me to say grace or say a prayer before the meal, and I thought, okay, I'll say out loud the pranam prayers and do an offering, I guess, as a prayer before a meal, in what she could relate to. And at the end of it, she said to me, all I understood about what you said was namaste, which is offering respects to someone. She said, who are you offering respects to? And in that moment, I knew that she would be able to relate to the philosophy if I explained that actually I was offering respects to my spiritual ancestry, explaining whose names I was saying, who is Srila Prabhupada, who is the Guru Parampara, and invoking their presence so they can help me and help me to approach the Lord so he can accept this offering. So relatability in the little moments of life is preaching. As a result of that, she said to me, I can't wait to get into my Bhagavad Gita. It's on my bookshelf, but I just can't wait to go to those chapters that you referenced in my spiritual journey. The second idea I had was around authenticity was sometimes we need to take the time to listen to what someone is really saying and respond in a way that gives them permission to go deeper. So between two women, there's always a moment when someone can take the first step and be vulnerable enough to share something a little bit more as an invitation to deepen a relationship. So listen out for those moments and handle with care when someone offers that moment to you. Or be intentional about converting ordinary small talk ordinary cordial relationships into those deeper moments. For example, maybe that devotee in class with Maharaj who's asking, Maharaj, how can we find good association when we become devotees? If you listen, is actually really asking, and someone in your congregation really saying, I feel so lonely. You know, how do I find a friend? So if you listen to what people are really saying and respond in a way that gives them permission to go deeper, you can reach out to someone and not start with, oh, wasn't that a nice class? But maybe say, you know, I know what it's like to struggle to find good friends, you know, within the devotee community. Do you want to meet up after work and I can introduce you to some of my devotee friends? That's intentional. And then the last point is to just be natural. One synonym, I think, for authenticity is natural. Don't force it. If you lead with good intentions, if you're open, if you're aware and mindful, if you're present in your interactions, you will find that the opportunities to be more truthful, more connected, more sisterly, they will manifest. And to develop vulnerability and trust and tact, which is required to not only create those meaningful interactions, but to maintain them, you need to develop at your own pace and have the maturity to accept that others are also trying to work out how to connect with you. So respect that. And when it does happen, treasure it and take care of each other. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Navina Radhika. That was a really stimulating talk. Thank you very much for that.
There are some comments that we just need to put forward to Navina.
Okay, please.
Hare Krishna, Navina. Thank you so much for the presentation. I couldn't take notes fast enough. So we have Yogeshwari saying, love that, Navina. She's talking about the first point she made. Authenticity is a way of gratitude to Srila Prabhupada. Then Leela Shakti says, Navina Radhika is the embodiment of authenticity. Having her association is truly refreshing and inspiring. Thank you so much for your presentation. And Yogeshwari says, so relevant for the World Mental Health Day, which is today. Beautiful, Navina.
Yeah, thank you so much. Our next speaker is Radhapriya.
Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavis. I hope you're enjoying the session so far. I'm going to try and keep this quite brief. So I thought about the keywords authenticity and confidentiality in relation to World Mental Health Day. As mentioned, it is today. And I think it's so amazing that we're sharing some of our own internal reflections in this forum. As females from childhood, we're put into boxes and told what we should look like, how we should dress, and how we should behave. There's double standards for both men and women, but I am not going to enter the whole gender narrative because I can go on and on. But what I will say is that we don't even realize how we've internalized these preconceived notions in our personality. So for me, finding my authenticity meant releasing society and others' expectations and realizing that I validate myself. In order to truly embrace our authentic selves, we have to learn to be present with and love our multifaceted raw self, develop our identity. Like my ritual is journaling and affirmations every day, because that helps me to reach my potential and, you know, to develop and grow into my authenticity. So if there's one thing you take from me today is that start journaling, because it will change your perceptions and perspectives on life. At some point in our lives, we've all been betrayed. Sometimes people reject the real you and say you're too much. And that's okay, because those aren't your people. There is a soul tribe for every single one of us. And as we mature emotionally, you'll recognize these people. This genuine connection, which you will find in our ISKCON society, allows you to show your vulnerability. And I know every other speaker before me has also touched on this. It is definitely an aspect of authenticity. Like Girisha is speaking afterwards, and I consider her to be a part of my soul tribe. And these kind of bonds where you can confide in someone wholeheartedly and know that they understand you, your spiritual, everything. It's so rare, but you will find it, and it is the best feeling ever. Another thing is that when we go through difficult times, it's so easy to put on a facade and pretend that everything is a-okay. I know I've done it countless times, but it is no way to live, and eventually we get exhausted by it. And how we really feel about ourselves, it reflects in our interactions with other people, other devotees. You feel that energy, and you know when someone is being authentic or not. So remember, if someone belittles you, a devotee or not, and if they don't respond to you with kindness, it's their own internal struggle. You just keep doing you. At the same time, create boundaries and develop gratitude for every entity. You know, exhibit it through your behavior and words, and smile. Oh my God, like apparently a devotee friend told me this, that if you go to church, people just come up to you, hug you, smile. And I feel that if we imbibe that kind of mood with new devotees, we would have so much of a more welcoming society. I've been a devotee my entire life. And I mean, you don't get the Haribols or even a look or a response. But I think it's a kind of culture that we need to slowly develop into. Yeah, but today I was on Instagram and I came across a quote by Nikita Gill, and I'm going to end with this. Be who you want to be. Say what you want to say. Don't let others steal your voice. This world is not kind. That is why you must be brave. Show it the kindness you wish to see. So thank you once again for this opportunity, and love and light to you all. Hare Krishna.
Hey Krishna, I love your confidence, and that was absolutely great. Thank you so much for that. And I have to agree with you, you know, journaling is actually very good. I actually started doing that in August, and I get a lot of, well, when I'm journaling, I do a lot of soul searching, and it's a great way to connect with yourself, actually. So everybody, if you haven't started journaling, I think that you should, because it's really great. Okay, Rasastali, do we have any comments?
Hare Krishna, I just have to say it's so exciting to see feedback on the chat. So thank you so much to all of you that are doing that, and please continue to do so. So Radhapriya, for you, we have, I love the message of creating, this is from Navina Radhika. She says, I love the message of creating a culture where we smile at each other. So the next time we're on, remember this, everyone. Then there's another comment. Again, I'm not sure who it is, but true, we should become more personal in our dealings and develop an attitude of gratitude. Well said. Rukmini says, love the Soul Tribe. Journaling is my thing too. So if anybody follows Rukmini on Instagram, you'd see her stuff. It's pretty awesome. Leela Shakti says, beautiful Radhapriya. Yogeshwari says, journaling, great for being brave with our authenticity. Leela Shakti comments again about the smiling. We take something as simple as a smile for granted. Then Gorangi says, so much introspection and wisdom from our young ladies. She's encouraged. Then quickly, I wanted to just ask you, one is, what else can we do apart from journaling? Because maybe not everybody can resonate with journaling. So is there maybe a second or a third suggestion you can give us?
Okay, so funnily enough, I'm joining a session with Rukmini Podar, another devotee, just after this Zoom call. And what she does is she draws her feelings, her emotions onto paper. You can sketch. And if perhaps a creative process doesn't really work for you, take yourself out and treat yourself. Go on long walks in nature, read a book, self-help books, and speak to other devotees who might be able to guide you. I think that would be a starting point.
Okay. One more, Radhapriya, quickly. So you said that you found your soul tribe, and it's really encouraging to hear that you found that at such a young age. And my big question is, how did you do that? Because, for example, you from Pietermaritzburg and Girisha is from Durban, so it's not, yeah, tell us.
So my soul tribe, it's actually quite a lot of young devotees, and it's through Bhakti Theatre that I forged these connections with them. So Rukmini Mataji and Rasastali Mataji were very instrumental in that. And because we're also real with each other through drama and being on stage, we're able to connect with each other deeply. That's how I feel I was able to find my soul tribe.
Okay, so we'll just take it one step further and just say it's through service that one can find their connections. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Radhapriya, for that. Our next speaker is Girisha.
Hare Krishna, everybody. I just want to say that I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude, just hearing everybody speak and their realizations. It's just, it's just amazing, really. And I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to give me a chance to even share like what little I have. So I just, to take Gorangi Mataji's advice, I'm going to say that I am hungry, so I'm going to keep this really short. And I just want to start by saying that also shadowing what Kelly Sundari said, that when Rasastali asked me to speak, I was extremely intimidated. I was extremely scared and intimidated. And I told her, I don't think I can really speak about this. I'm not sure. I don't really know what I have to say. And, to speak among such learned Vaishnavis, it really scared me. But I think that just that small interaction kind of brings me at a starting point to even understand authenticity and confidentiality. And so using that example, right, this initial fear that I had, it almost stopped me from sharing anything with all of you today. But, here I am. I put so much doubt on myself. And because I've developed a relationship with Rasastali, and as Radhapriya was mentioning, through Bhakti Theatre, through serving together, through facing so many challenges together, we've developed this relationship, and therefore I felt confident enough to tell her my truth. to tell her my fears, and no matter how vulnerable that made me feel, it allowed me to do that. The second part of it is that it also allowed her to reassure me, which she did, and which is why I'm here today. And in turn, it helped me believe in myself more. So as we can see, that the power of just being authentic, having that authentic interaction, that authentic relationship. Can you hear? Hi, Krishna. Is it good now? Okay. Okay, so yeah, I was saying that just that authentic interaction, made me feel confident in telling her my truth and in being vulnerable. And it also helped her reassure me, which then allowed me to believe in myself a little bit more. And so I feel that the power of authenticity not only deepens the relationships that we have with those around us, but it also opens up a place for us to receive guidance, which is so important. It allows for gratitude to flow between individuals. And most of all, as I said, it can strengthen our belief in ourselves. And yeah, just I think me personally, I usually have this insecurity where I'm always considering what other people are going to feel about me. And I don't want to put myself out there because I'm so worried what are people going to think of me, what's this person going to say about me. And I guess that comes from a word called like the fear of shame or the fear of embarrassment. And I read something, an explanation on like different emotions, which said shame shows you that you're internalizing other people's beliefs about who you should be or who you are, and that you need to connect with yourself. And that to me made such a huge difference in the times when I would want to isolate myself because of certain interactions, or when I missed a test at university and I was too embarrassed, thinking, oh, what's people going to think of me, and how am I going to interact with the lecturer, or how am I going to go to class? But just thinking about that, just learning from that situation, just learning that so much of the time we allow ourselves to internalize what we think others feel about us. And but when we are our true selves, which comes from obviously practicing authenticity, developing authentic relationships, I think it helps us be real with ourselves. It helps us be real with others. We try to, face our shortcomings. We overcome them or surpass them just by speaking about them. And so it's also important because when we do that, we can start to create a space within ourselves to also allow others to reveal themselves to us. So I just feel that when we spend our time lying to ourselves, pretending because of, the unrealistic expectations, as so many speakers spoke about, unrealistic expectations of that society holds on us, we're also internalizing those feelings. We're also internalizing what society believes of us. And so, yeah, when we spend our times just lying to ourselves, and that actually feeds those insecurities. It feeds those fears that we have. And that is what's dangerous and toxic. And I'm not sure who spoke about, I think it was Anuradha Mataji that used the analogy of a hospital and how, we are all patients, we all have an illness, that we're coming with all these insecurities. And And not being authentic, not being honest, not being true to our natures, it's just going to feed those illnesses. And it becomes dangerous and toxic to our health, and then becomes dangerous to our progress. So as practitioners of bhakti, we understand that we already have so many layers of dust covering that reflection of the soul. And like our goal is to reach self-realization, and we can't do that if we keep covering it up. We can't do that if we keep lying to ourselves and not being our true selves. We'll just cover ourselves more with layers of deceit. And I think that we can overcome that by obviously practicing authenticity, which is speaking the truth, standing by our truth. You know, and as Kelly Sundari said, like recognizing when, you know, your boundaries, basically, like when this needs to stop, when this relationship needs to stop, or when this relationship is harmful to you. So I think that, you know, opening up to others can, you know, can help us better define our true nature. And the more we face and reveal those truths, the more we can find ourselves in those truths. But there's the point of confidentiality. There's the question, can we just reveal ourselves to just anyone? You know, who do we reveal ourselves to? And I think if we define confidentiality, right, there's two sides to that, right? One is to disclose information to someone about yourself in confidence that they won't speak out to anyone else. The other thing that psychology adds to confidentiality is that it's the ability to not disclose information about someone else to others, you know? So it's not just about the one interaction, just confiding, it's also not disclosing what others come to you in confidence with. And so there's a condition. Confidentiality has a condition, which I found through some of the teachings of Bhakti Yoga, is the example of Krishna and Arjuna, right? Arjuna immediately was vulnerable to Krishna. You know, he showed his true self. He spoke the truth about what he was feeling. And that's how Krishna was able to, you know, impart all this knowledge on him. And I'd like to just read this one thing that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 9. It's actually the first verse, and it's appropriate because chapter 9 is the most confidential knowledge. And Krishna says, "My dear Arjuna, because you are not envious of me, I shall impart this confidential knowledge. And knowing which you shall be relieved of miseries of material existence." And then Krishna reiterates what he says in the 18th chapter, and he says, "Because you are my dear friend, I am speaking my supreme instructions." So we can see that, like, this is just my, you know, opinion, but I feel that, you know, I believe that Krishna is trying to say that we should only speak our truth with those who we are sure are not envious in nature. We should only speak our truth to those who we can call our dear friends. And this is the condition. And, you know, it's a trusting relationship. And I recently was listening to Sachinandan Swami, and he gave the aspects, he gave 3 aspects to how we can recognize true friendship. So if we want to really know who can we confide in, who can we reveal ourselves to, these are the 3 aspects of true friendship. So I'll just read it out to you. One is that person knows you. So that person will know who you are, know what you need, and they have some idea of you and your nature. The second thing is they love you. There's always love in every kind of relationship, especially in friendship. There's love. And in sisterhood, we need that. That's how we should build on every interaction, through loving each other. And the third thing is they will contribute to your life in some way, in some positive way, and they will enrich it. So just those three aspects of how we can maybe identify who we can confide in. And also, Srila Prabhupada talks about the core activities of devotional service, and one of them is maintaining friendship. And just as Radhapriya was saying, just as Rasastali asked that question, how do we find our soul tribe? It's through devotional service. And we all have that one aim, that one goal is to develop that relationship with Krishna. And we can do that better by just developing relationships with each other. So, okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna. Thank you, Girisha. I am so impressed by your talk. Well done. Thank you. Rasastali, do we have any questions for Girisha?
Yes, we do. Again, I don't know the person's name for this one. Her comment is, very beautiful, Girisha. It's very important to reveal your heart to whom you can trust. And then Nandarani, she says, Hare Krishna, Girisha. Your ability to integrate psychology and Krishna conscious philosophy is wonderful. Thanks to you and all the other speakers. Then Kamala Sundari says, wow, thank you, Girisha. That was heart-touching. I think that's it.
Okay. All right. I think our next speaker is Bontle. Bontle, are you there? Oh, right.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances all close to Srila Prabhupada. And thank you, everyone. I'm so excited, so thrilled, so inspired. And my heart is provoked and inspired by everything that has been shared today. I'm really, and it ties almost into what I'll be sharing today, like the themes that are coming through. It's so interesting and enlivening, but interesting. I think interesting is the better word. So to limit, I'm going to start sharing my screen. So as a precursor, I speak better, think better visually sometimes. So I created visual guides just to aid in the communication of what I will share today. So I will try create this. Let me see if it pops up. If it doesn't pop up, then I'll have to see how else. It's not showing.
Yes. At the bottom of your screen, you will see there's a share screen option.
Yeah, I wanted to just share the particular file, but I'll just share. Oh, here it's showing up now. I just wanted to share the file and not the whole screen because everyone will just be dismayed and confused about everything that's in the background. So can you all see the slide itself? All right, so I'm going to take my face off because I'll be looking at something else and I can't see where to. There we go. All right, so as I did share that I created these visual guides just to aid my thinking, and I'll go through them and just speak a little bit in terms of the context behind each one. So I have a growing affinity for frameworks, and I mean, it's also came through in terms of the themes that I'm hearing from the conversation today. And I like seeing how different things fit together. So when the topic for the Women's Collective today was shared, I was interested to find out how would they all come together to support the main theme of authentic sisterhood. So the questions that I had were, and I hope this moves. Okay. Have you seen the next slide? Okay, I think that's a yes. So I was interested to find out how could the ideas of authenticity, confidentiality, and the need to overcome our own conditioning be used to foster stronger bonds of love and support for our communities. So the first step that I started off with was that authenticity starts off with the self. And that to be fully present with oneself, it requires a large dose of honesty. And I put that at the top because that's also something I'm personally, like a lesson that I'm presently combing through. And to truly be honest with oneself, though, is an act of vulnerability. And we've heard that come through multiple times today as well. I looked up the etymology of the word vulnerability, and what it means is to wound. So vulnerability comes from the Latin words to wound. And it's no wonder that thoughts and sometimes the experience of being vulnerable conjures pain and fear in so many of us. And it's no wonder at times that we cower at being open and bare, at being honest with ourselves, because it exposes our anartas. So the Harinam Chintamani compares anartas to clouds which shield the eternal sunshine of the holy name. And because we are already pure spirit souls, our anartas then can be seen as the shadows, which are cast when there's a block to the sunshine of the eternal spiritual reality. And these shadows can at times lurk around, and they become somewhat like bogey monsters that grow tall even during the day. So to face those bogey monsters, it also takes a lot of courage to be authentic. So some thoughts in terms of authenticity itself is that in being authentic, it's important to note that that which we already are, and this is both what we're conscious of and that which we are unconscious of, is what we bring into our relationships. So bring your authentic self, and to whatever level or to whatever degree of authenticity with yourself that you have come in touch with, that to that degree, that is what you bring into the relationships that you have. And therefore, it ultimately starts off with us. And we know that Krishna is the cause of all causes, yet to the extent that we conscious of the Lord is a question of our personal state of consciousness as well. Therefore, our ability to be authentic and honest with others, or honest with ourselves, translates in how we can be with others. And that is actually the ironic beauty of relationships, is that they work as mirrors, that it is in relationship with you that I can see more of myself. And this is both the pretty and the bogey monster aspects of ourselves. And if in relationship, I get to see more of myself, that means that our narratives are also revealed in relationship. And the tendency sometimes to hurt others is because we ourselves are hurting. And this can show itself then when we breach the integrity of the confidence that is shared in our existing relationships. It's a common refrain, and I'll share it in the multiple versions and dimensions that it comes in, that umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu, motho ke motho kabatu. And what that means is that I am because you are. And that is the principle of Ubuntu Obotu. So when we can become a little bit more considerate of this principle, we can begin day by day, moments to moments, to take care in how we relate with one another in ways which uphold the integrity and the confidence of our relationships. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord invites us to surrender. And the Lord opens up his shelter to us. And this act of open and full surrender by us is as a consequence of the Lord's openness and fullness in terms of the acceptance. He can fully accept us. Therefore, he's inviting us to fully surrender. And he says that that which is offered with love and devotion, he will accept. And what I glean from that is that love is also an act of acceptance. So if we relate that to the idea of authenticity, that means that if I can be authentic and be with myself and learn to love myself, that also implies that I'm fully accepting myself. And that is both the parts that I see, the parts that I don't see that are obscured in the mirror of the heart, and also those parts that I'd rather suppress and stuff away. And self-love means to recognize and accept the fullness of ourselves. And because the relationships are mirrors, when I love others, I then create space for them to fully accept them as well. So the question then becomes, how do we create such spaces which go beyond the conditioning? And so what I've come up with, the combination of my thoughts, and I found it interesting that it relates it, because it was only afterwards, I was like, oh, it almost relates to the themes of the Women's Collective, which are based on sadhana, sisterhood, as well as service. So the first strategy or tool that came up for me in terms of authenticity, and it's come up earlier on as well, is the practice of journaling. So this can be a practice of opening space for yourself first, because before you can be in relationship with another person, you bring yourself to that relationship. Therefore, you need to create space for yourself first. And bhakti is a personal process. We are meant to be getting personal with others. We're meant to be getting personal with the Lord's devotees, with the holy name, with a divine couple, and ultimately getting personal with ourselves, because that is what the process is about. And chanting is also the prescribed process, which enables us to get closer to the real self. And when we become more authentic in our spiritual identity, that is actually what the whole process is about. So sadhana being one of those pillars in terms of building this authentic sisterhood. Then the second aspect in terms of confidentiality, once you can be in that space where you're courageous and you're open to the whole of yourself, both the light and the dark, so both that which you see and these narratives that we need to work through, the aspects of confidentiality can be strengthened by creating loving, safe, sacred spaces that can hold the whole of you. That which you have now come into experiencing in yourself, you can offer into a loving space, which is what relationship is. So this practice of sisterhood is where you're mindful of what you bring to the relation, and so the other person is. And by so doing, we both hold each other in a bond of integrity that we both have full confidence in. Therefore, we can share in collective bhajan, we can share in kirtan, we can share together, and we can glorify and honor one another's authentic contributions. The final aspect is, how do we overcome our conditioning and how do we create a space that actually facilitates this? For me, what comes up in terms of that is creating a space of open-hearted acceptance. And as I mentioned earlier, acceptance equals love. So that's basically, we need to create spaces that facilitate love. We learn from the teachings of Bhakti, we learn from the Acharyas that love means service. So when we create spaces for all, we can create and support spaces that facilitate loving exchanges, that facilitate service, and that facilitates and further the fostering of these stronger bonds of love and support and of authentic sisterhood. So that is what I had to share today, and I will show my face if I can find the icon. So that's what I had to share today. Yeah, that was a spilling over of my heart, my thoughts, and I hope I did not spill over too much time. And thank you all for sharing also. As I said, I was inspired by the themes that have come through, and I will stop sharing now. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bontle. That was absolutely brilliant. And I think a lot of people, really relished that. It was so thought-provoking. And thank you for that. Sally, do we have any questions? Comments?
Yes. So, Bontle, thank you again. The first one's from Gorangi. He says, exquisitely organized and deep thinking, Bontle. A pleasure to follow along. Then Yogeshwari says, thank you for this beautiful presentation, Bontle, and all the effort you put in. Love to you, girl. And then Navina Radhika says, so thoughtful, thank you. And I would like to request, Bontle, if you would be so gracious to share that presentation with us so that we can just, take a closer look, and maybe we can put it up on the website if you're agreeable. But at the very least, we can make it available for devotees to look as a reference guide. I think we need the steps. We're not going to remember everything, if that's okay with you.
No, that's perfectly fine. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, our last speaker for today is Rukmini Dasi.
Muted. Hare Krishna. So I just want to humbly offer my obeisances to all the devotees here. It's been such an amazing experience. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhu vevacha patitanam bhavnebhyo vaishnavbhyo namo namaha. Yeah, the perks about going last is that you get a tick off on your list, everything that you wanted to say, as other people say it. But I really love this topic. It's something that I really want to churn and understand better. And I was looking at it in the light of Sri Rupa Goswami's Nectar of Instruction and the 6 loving exchanges between devotees, because currently in our book club, we're focusing on that book. And it, in the text, Rupa Goswami gives us 2 specific loving exchanges. Guyam Akyati Prichati, which is to reveal one's mind in confidence and to inquire confidentially. Now, the reason why I brought this up is because in the purport, he makes some brilliant comments. Like he says that ISKCON's been established to facilitate these loving exchanges. And he says that the life of the Krishna conscious society is nourished by these loving exchanges. So, you know, I've often like asked myself the question of like, why do I sometimes feel spiritually unnourished whilst being in a spiritual environment? And I think that is key, that these loving exchanges I may not be consciously trying to execute. Now, I was thinking that with the thought with authentic relationships, you know, confidentiality, which is guyam, is integral to our growth scripturally. And Prabhupada says in that same purport, he says that he says that an inexperienced devotee inquires and an experienced devotee explains. Now, for days I've been thinking about this line, you know, and what does this got to do with authenticity? But I wonder about the line because I wonder about who is an experienced devotee. Now, I've come to sort of understand that an experienced devotee is not a perfect devotee, but an authentic one. And this is leading back to the idea of perfections come out, you know, with Gorangi and with other speakers. And this is where I sort of rested in, you know, that a rift sort of exists that prevents us from being authentic, because one fact that contributes to this rift is because I think that I have to be the perfect devotee because I'm in leadership, or I'm a mother, or I'm the senior, or I'm initiated. Whatever is the reason, it's uncommon for us to be able to feel like we can reveal our flaws because we've created such a culture. But when we don't do this, and when we think that I have to cut the perfect devotee profile, then I'm also sending out a message that says that you also can't be honest. So, and that's important because it says that it gives a message to other people that you will reach this point wherever I am, where you will be perfect and you won't have any problems because I, inverted commas, in this situation, don't have any. So there's this concept of leading from our weakness. And I've been thinking about it, and I think it's really interesting because it brings in that idea and that word that Bontle brought out and others about vulnerability. And there's this quote that I've been meditating on that says that a person who leads by their strengths gains people's admiration, but a person who leads by their weaknesses, but with vulnerability, gains people's trust. So um, I was thinking about that because being willing to be vulnerable with another person is what enables us to have trusting relationships. Is what enables us to be authentic. Now, I was thinking that my whole spiritual practice has been a search for authenticity, and it's not an easy road. You know, it's a road that has beaten me to the grail sometimes. But the burden of being inauthentic is just so much heavier to bear. And therefore I've come to understand that really that authenticity is my only freedom. You know, I'm free to be myself, and that Krishna will give me everything I need to progress if I ascribe to that sort of mentality. Now, devotees have said often that, and I've heard devotees say often also, that I can't trust anyone because devotees don't keep confidences. And that's so true. Like, you know, we know about it. And I know about it as someone who's had the confidences broken, as someone who's broken confidences before. If I have to admit it, you know, it's always a slip between the cup and the lip. But and those are actually much harder to bear. But I've come to understand that, or trying to understand that, in finding trustworthy people, it has a lot to do with who I am, in as much as it has to do with who the other person is. And if I truly want it, if I truly want those sort of relationships, why won't Krishna give it to me? Like I'm sitting in this Zoom call, and it's like I'm hearing people speak, and I'm like, I want to connect with this devotee or that devotee, or I never knew that that person had such a deep, so many deep sides to them. And so that's one of the things I really gained. So I'm very grateful for this interaction. In being able to see that if we're looking for authentic relationships, we will find them if we're willing to be authentic ourselves. If we're looking for relationships of true confidentiality, we will find them if we're willing to be confidential ourselves. And so, and it's not about like a bunch of people, you know, because often what happens is that I could get it together with a bunch of people who just support my own conditioning. And that doesn't help authentic relationships. You know, it's not about ganging up for a self-pity party or an inferiority complex. It's just about honest sharing with the intention to improve. And there is a universe of difference between the both. So my meditation today is sort of that an experienced devotee is an authentic devotee. And I don't have to be perfect, but I do have to be authentic. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share today. And so thank you so much for hearing me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Rukmini. I appreciate your talk a lot, and I felt like you were directly speaking to me. So thank you for that. Rasastali, do we have any comments?
Yes, we do have some comments. I just want to read out the Rukmini's parting words before we go into it, because I just feel that it actually gives me so much strength. And she says, I don't have to be perfect, but I do have to be authentic. That was just so beautiful. Thank you so much, Rukmini, before we go into the comments. So Yogeshwari says, incredible lineup of speakers, and one of my favorite topics, loving every moment of the session, gratitude to the organizers. Navina Radhika says, that's so powerful. Vulnerability builds trust. That's the quote, Rukmini. Light bulb moment, thank you. Bontle sends you 4 kisses, and she says, authenticity is my freedom. Thanks for the point, Rukmini. Experience versus authentic, and 3 kisses again. And then Gaurangi says, on the point of personal growth, I love the point that we need to be challenged by the other, the different and the opposite of our echo chambers. That was deep. That's true. You know, not surrounded by yes people. Then Kamala Sundari says, thank you to all the speakers and to the organizers. This was beautiful. And Bontle again says, perfect versus authentic. And that's all the comments.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to open up our session to our audience. If you have any questions that you would like to direct to any one of our speakers, please, if you can ask them now, or you can post it on your chat or raise your hand so we can see that you have a question. No questions.
No, there doesn't seem to be any questions. There's just a comment
from
Ashni. Thank you, ladies, for this wonderful, genuine heart-to-heart talks. Bontle, you're a star. Looking forward to your slides. Okay, so Ashni definitely wants your slides, Bontle. Not so much from you, Rukmini. Loved it. Then Lamise from Ketan says, Hare Krishna, Rasastali, and Rukmini. It's lovely to join today. I'm working on being vulnerable. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions. This was beautiful done. Wow. Well, I guess we've been a bit over our time, Priyadarshini. That's also one of the things.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. We've actually gone into 2 hours now. So, okay, Leela Shakti has something there, Rasastali.
Yeah. So it's not a question. It's not a question, Leela Shakti. Just appreciative of the space of heart sharing, and thank you so much for creating this space and vulnerability.
Okay, to all our speakers, please accept our most sincere thanks and for the outstanding talks that you delivered. It was really very appreciated, and I think our audience also enjoyed it. Thank you so much. It was very interesting to hear about your personal experiences. Every one of you did share something, and we are really grateful for that. Thank you so much. And I think, judging from the comments that we've received, I think everybody really, our speakers and what they had to say. Remember to join us, follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, and you can email us at womenscollectivesa@gmail.com. We've shown you our website. You can reach out to us on our website as well, because we have a connection there. You can go and look it up and you can connect with us. At our next meeting, which is on the 21st of November, we are hoping to invite disciples of Srila Prabhupada to our session. And we are looking forward to that. And thank you so much for your participation today. And we hope that you stay safe. Okay, so Hare Krishna, everybody. And
thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking at blank screens here, so I don't see anybody's face.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you
everyone.
so much. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Navina.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, lambs.
Hare Krishna, Rasul Charlie. Bye, Priyadashini.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Namanta, Hare Krishna. Tara, thank you. Kamala, thank you, with the 2 little children.
Okay.